Hey everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Recon. Today we're going to look at a few stories from the subreddit Am I the Asshole? Okay, the first one we're going to look at today is AITA for making my daughter sleep in the backyard after what she did to our housemaid. My daughter, 16, is a high school junior. I noticed recently that she's been behaving in a bad manner, constantly commenting on other people's looks, belongings, calling them stuff that isn't cool, and just being insensitive. It's like she lost a filter or something because usually she's polite, but my wife suspected that our daughter's sudden misbehavior occurred after she started hanging out with new girls from the school. Basically the mean type, and have picked up on their behavior. I've sat with my daughter and had many discussions about how her behavior has been negatively affecting everyone around her. Our housemaid is the person most affected here, and my daughter has chosen her to be her target for hair, clothes, etiquette, criticisms. She has complained about our daughter calling her offensive names like filthy and gross for cleaning certain areas in our house. I took a stand and explicitly told my daughter I'd punish her if she ever said stuff like that to our housemaid again. Last week, my daughter had a party to go to. Earlier that day, she called our housemaid filthy, so I grounded her by not letting her go to the party. She threw a fit and called our housemaid a liar, saying she never called her that. That was the end of it. Days later, my daughter came to me saying she couldn't find her iPhone after looking everywhere. She asked me to call her number, and I did. My wife and I were stunned to discover that the iPhone was ringing inside her housemate's bag. I had a confrontation with her immediately, and she denied it and cried and said she'd never touched the phone nor had any idea how it got there. I noticed my daughter calling her thief repeatedly, so I told her to stop and go to her room. I checked the indoor camera before continuing the argument and saw my daughter place her iPhone inside her housemate's bag. I was livid. I apologized to the housemaid and gave her the rest of the day off. I then showed the video to my daughter and she was absolutely speechless. I said what she did was immoral and straight up offensive to tamper with the poor woman's livelihood over a petty party she couldn't go to. I told her she was grounded and will have to spend the night in the backyard. She is a germaphobe, but she cried, begging me to not sleep with the dirt, insects, and hot temperature. I refused to discuss it or I'd make it 2 nights. My wife said I should go easy on her, but I said calling people filthy and accusing them of stealing wasn't okay. In fact, it was the absolute worst. I then went through with my punishment. The reason I chose this punishment was because of the fact that my daughter says she's a germaphobe and uses this excuse to insult others' hygiene and appearance. Our backyard has dirt and bugs in it, and this kind of thing gets her uncomfortable, but other than that, our backyard is 100% safe. Question, why doesn't she clean up and do house chores as punishment instead? Because I've already tried this punishment before and it didn't work because she deliberately stopped eating for days to get out of it and ended up in the emergency department for low blood pressure. I honestly think the dad is in the right and should punish their daughter. And if it didn't work before, punishing her by making her do house chores and things like that, then I definitely think that making her sleep in the backyard will be a good punishment. Alright, let's go down in the comment section and see if people think that this person's the asshole in this situation or not. This first Redditor posts, NTA, but you should give your housekeeper a week off with pay and make your daughter take her place unpaid. Someone else replies, this is the appropriate discipline. I'd make her do the housemaid's job for 2 weeks, but pay the housemaid for the work. You are NTA to come down hard on her though and knock it on the head. Next reply, this is an excellent punishment. I'd also go with giving her a flip phone for a good long time. Or no phone. Maybe she can have a flip phone for emergencies. But at home, no phone, no social media. Truly grounded. In this day and age, I'd imagine taking a kid's phone away would be a serious grounding for them. This next commenter, NTA, your daughter deserves a DEFCON 1 level punishment. That's some effed up shit she did. That said, I'd probably pick something besides making her sleep in the backyard. Too temporary, too unusual, too easy for her to make herself out to be the victim. It's both too much and not enough. And this person replied, yes, you suggested good alternatives. The punishment should be constructive and educational. Picking up trash and volunteering are effective sanctions. It's unacceptable to falsely accuse the housekeeper of stealing, and she has to endure the appropriate repercussions subsequently. After reading through the comments on this one, it looks like most people agree that he's not the asshole, and that making his daughter sleep in the backyard is not the correct punishment. It sounds like most people would take her phone away or make her clean up trash and whatnot. Let me know down in the comments if you think this person is the asshole or not the asshole in this story. Alright, let's go ahead and look at this next post. AITA for siding with my wife when she refused to let my son install the lock his mom got him for his room. I married my current wife 6 years ago. She has a 14-year-old son and I have a 16-year-old son from my previous marriage. We normally don't deal with a ton of issues as a blended family. My stepson Joshua is nice to everyone and likes sharing a lot. It's his way of forming strong bonds. My son Scotty, however, is the complete opposite. He hates sharing and is very private. He takes offense to his brother going into his room and borrowing stuff from him. He hates that Joshua does it frequently, but my wife and I thought it was completely normal as long as Joshua returns everything later. Scotty started complaining about it openly lately, saying Joshua has gone too far with his behavior, taking stuff constantly without permission. My wife and I came up with a solution, which was getting Scotty a safe to store his valuable possessions. But Scotty said that it wasn't enough since he has tons of stuff and can't put it all in the safe. It all came to a head last week when Joshua took Scotty's Lego collection to take pictures of it outside the house and accidentally broke a couple pieces. Scotty blew up and got his mom involved. My ex-wife then bought and sent him a lock to install on his door the same day, which got my wife so mad, calling her disrespectful and overstepping to send locks over to our house. They had a verbal fight on the phone and I returned home to see my wife arguing with Scotty after he refused to return the lock. I asked what the heck was going on, and my wife said Scotty was expecting her to let him install the lock his mom sent to our house. She said neither boy is allowed to have locks. Scotty said he was done with Joshua taking and breaking his stuff and begged me to say something. Convinced my wife to let him keep the lock, but I told him my wife was right and that it was disrespectful of his mom to send a lock to our house. Scotty said if they were so against his mom getting him a lock, then I should get him one instead, but I refused since my wife said neither of the boys are allowed a lock, so it's not like Joshua has a lock and Scotty doesn't. Scotty threw a fit in calling me terrible and that he can't wait to move out and be done with our nonsense. We had Joshua apologize, but still Scotty isn't having it. Scotty threw a fit calling me terrible and that he can't wait to move out and be done with our nonsense. We had Joshua apologize, but still Scotty isn't having it. My former in-laws argued that I was being unfair to Scotty after he complained to them and told me to let him keep the lock and not side with my wife and her son. Am I the asshole? So after reading this story, I think the father should have sided with his son, and maybe they could have came to some sort of agreement where they both get a key to the door but the brother doesn't. That way the brother can't go in there and keep taking stuff and breaking his things. Let's go ahead and see what the comment section has to say about this. Alright, so here's the top comment. Yes, you're the asshole. I have news for you. Joshua is not nice to everyone. Being nice includes respecting others' belongings and their privacy, and he is not doing that with your son. He invades Scotty's privacy, taking his stuff without permission, and apparently damages some of it. That's not sharing. That is taking without permission. We have a word for that, and it's not sharing. You are the problem here. You do nothing to correct Joshua's bad behavior or support Scotty in setting entirely reasonable boundaries for his privacy. You obviously favor your stepson and have zero respect for Scotty's need for privacy and security, that his things belong to him. Your ex was right to send him a lock. Thank goodness she's looking out for his concerns since you won't and your wife doesn't think it matters. And one of the responses to that, fun fact, nice people typically don't steal. Fun fact number 2, taking without asking is stealing. This next comment says, you're the asshole. You in 10 years time. Why does Scotty never call me? He won't go low contact over a lock. It's about how his dad didn't protect him from his thieving snake of a brother and respect his rights or have his back. These things are in the dad job description. You will have irreparably damaged the relationship by putting your wife first when Scotty is the victim. He will not trust or respect you. So your wife has a rule about no locks, but stealing is okay? I can see where Joshua got his morals from. Maybe she doesn't want Scotty to have locks so her thief son can steal from your son. You're so obviously the asshole that I'm wondering if this is a made-up post. If yes, then bravo. This is a convincing post. So after reading through this post and some of the comments, I'm going to have to agree that OP is the asshole in this situation. He should have definitely sided with his son and helped protect his belongings and his privacy. Please let me know what you think about this one. Leave a comment down below whether you think he's the asshole or not the asshole, or what your opinion is on the whole story. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.